Change News.
This is Voice of Change Radio News. I'm Amanda Kumalo. A quick look at stories making the headlines. President arrives in Bulawayo for National Chiefs Conference. In business news, industry wants USD power tariff linked to forex income. In regional and international news, Tropical Cyclone Freddy, nearly 200 people now confirmed dead in Malawi. In sports, Unopposed Infantino set for third term as Fifa president. The news in detail. President Mnangagwa has said preparations for the ZANU-PF primary elections set for Saturday are progressing well, with campaigns taking place in a peaceful environment. In that regard, the president urged people to continue to observe peace as the country gets into election campaign mode ahead of harmonized elections scheduled for August this year. He made the remarks soon after arrival in Bulawayo yesterday evening for the 2023 National Chiefs Conference, which he will officially open today at the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair, ZITF grounds. ZANU-PF primary elections are set for Saturday as the Revolutionary Party fixes its sides ahead of this year's elections, with the party eyeing 5 million votes to ensure a resounding victory. A record number of candidates running into thousands have submitted their CVs to represent the ruling party in the forthcoming elections, with a blend of old and new faces in a display of the universal popularity of ZANU-PF. Aspiring candidates will be vying for 210 constituencies, 1,970 wards, 60 senatorial, 60 women's quota, and 10 youth quota seats. The completion of massive infrastructure projects initiated by government will spur the country's quest of becoming a middle-income society by 2030, Parliament's Budget, Finance and Economic Development Portfolio Committee has said. A report tabled in Parliament following the Committee's countrywide assessment of infrastructure development projects being implemented countrywide says they include dams, roads, houses, ports of entry, among others. Some of the projects had stalled during the era of the First Republic, but were resuscitated by President Mnangagwa's administration and have either been completed or are well on the way to completion, with work still in progress. Cabinet has received and adopted the National Development Strategy 1 NDS1 performance report for the fourth quarter of 2022, which indicates that government exceeded the set economic development targets, thus priming the economy for the achievement of an upper middle income economy by 2030. Finance and Economic Development Minister Professor Mthuli Ncube presented the progress report, whose details will now be shared with key important financial institutions like the World Bank for third-party validation. Inspired by his quest to bring rapid, sustainable economic development to the populace, President Mnangagwa has set Zimbabwe on a development trajectory, which the economy is set to attain upper middle income status by the end of this decade. In business news, the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries (CZI) says US dollar electricity billing should be matched to the proportion of foreign currency sales, given that businesses have different mixes of local currency and forex earnings. This comes after the Zimbabwe Electricity Transmission and Distribution Company (ZETDC) announced a new US dollar power tariff of $12.21 per kilowatt for all exporters, while other foreign currency earners would be billed at an average tariff of $10.63 per kilowatt. In regional and international news, nearly 200 people are now confirmed dead in Malawi after the devastating tropical cyclone Freddy ripped through southern Africa for the second time in a month. As the rain continues to fall and overwhelmed rescue workers struggle to find both the dead and survivors in the mud, that death toll is expected to rise. There has been extensive damage to infrastructure and homes. Power and communications are down still in many affected areas, and an estimated 19,000 people have been displaced by the heavy rains that triggered floods and mudslides. And finally, in sports, Gianni Infantino is set to be waived in for a third four-year term as FIFA president when World Football's governing body holds its annual congress in the Rwandan capital, Kigali, on Thursday. Delegates from the 211 member federations will have a limited choice at the 73rd FIFA Congress between re-electing the 52-year-old incumbent by acclamation or figuratively disapproving. That brings us to the end of this bulletin.
Voice of Change News.